Hi, my name is Mark Affeld, and I'm sitting here across from Mike Atkinson.
Yo.
Mike and I both love games.
Board games.
Card games.
Word games.
You name it. So we decided to play a game on the radio. Once a week, Mike has given me 3 minutes of airtime on his show Big Friday to tell you a story. At the end of the story, you will have to decide whether it's a story of fact or a story of fiction.
Sounds good.
3 minutes, fact or fiction. Ready?
Begin. 3 minutes. Go.
I love books about mountains. If you write a book about a mountain, there's a good chance I'll read it. In all of my years learning and reading about amazing stories of mountaineering, this is by far my favorite. Before we get to the story, let's go through some facts. In the first half of the 20th century, there was a huge rush to summit all of the world's highest peaks. The age of exploration had ended, and the space race had yet to begin. And there are some amazing stories attached to this period in mountaineering history. For example, you may have heard the famous story of the first summit of Mount Everest. It was famously conquered in 1953 by Edmund Hillary and Tenzing Norgay. But what you might not know is that only 3 days before that famous climb, Tom Bourdillon and Charles Evans had to turn back only 300 feet from the peak. Anyway, that's not our story this week. Our story, my favorite story, surrounds the third highest peak in the world. It's called Mount Kanchenjunga, and it towers 28,000 feet above sea level at the border of Nepal and India. You see, although there is much debate over which is the world's most difficult mountain to climb, Kanchenjunga holds 2 titles. It is the mountain that the most people have died trying to climb, and it's the mountain that eluded the world's best mountaineers for the longest period of time. The first recorded attempt to summit Kanchenjunga was 1922, and for almost 60 years, hundreds tried and failed to conquer the peak. In this period alone, 74 men lost their lives on the slopes of Kanchenjunga. This all changed in 1979, and to give you a little bit of perspective, remember Everest was first summited in 1953. This all changed in 1979 when 2 Englishmen, Joseph Brown and George Band, finally, with the help of new oxygen mask and tank technology, were able to reach Kanchenjunga's peak. Now remember, this is huge. 1979, all the big mountains at this point had been summited. This was the last great peak to be conquered. But here's the thing. During their epic climb, after spending only about 15 minutes on the peak of Kanchenjunga, conserving oxygen being their first concern, the 2 men turned to descend when Brown noticed a small cairn, a tiny pile of rocks traditionally built by Sherpas to let other Sherpas know they've been there. That's right. There are various theories that have been proposed by experts and mountaineers alike. But for my money, the best and most simple theory is that at some point prior to 1979, a Sherpa successfully summited the mountain and didn't tell anyone. So, is the story of the unknown first summit of Kanchenjunga a story of fact or a story of fiction?
This is a good one. I have no knowledge of anything about mountains. He's playing us hard on this one. I just read a story this morning, actually, about, just like, honestly, this morning before I got here, about a 15-year-old kid who's like summited all like the top peaks on every continent. And I don't know what that has to do with this, but part of me is just like, if a 15-year-old kid can do it, then maybe there's actually some Sherpa out there who just like, decided, you know what I'm going to do today? I'm going to summit this mountain. And I feel like there's some dude in the world who could do it without an oxygen tank. And if there was going to be a dude, it would be a Sherpa, someone who like, that's what they do. They climb mountains. So I'm going to go with this one is true. No idea on this one, but I'm going with true.
So you think it's fact. Well, although the story of Everest first being climbed in 1953, and as I mentioned, only 3 days earlier, there were 2 climbers who made it 300 feet from the peak. That's all true. The story of Kanchenjunga is false. I made it up.
Stop. 3 minutes.